right. Well, we are back. So now we are going to start the panel section of our event or our program. And so the topic is smart source business support that works. And basically what we were looking to achieve with this program and bringing these panelists together was, there's this, there's a lot of things that businesses can outsource. And there's a lot of questions about outsourcing and, how do you do that responsibly? How do you decide what needs to be outsourced? And how do you decide who you're going to outsource some of your business to? So we kind of curated this group of panelists who are chamber members who all work in this field in one way or the other. So we're just going to start with introductions, and I'm going to start at the end with Elizabeth. So Elizabeth, just tell us who you are, who you're with, and what it is you do.
Sure. I'm Elizabeth Dolan, and I am with a company called Inspirity. What we do is we actually help organizations and work with their HR departments or office managers, or controllers, or CFOs to kind of contain risk management and help them in the HR world in regards to compliance, regulations, and mitigating risk. So.
Great. Let's come right down this way.
Okay,
Kelly?
sure. Kelly Harper. I work for CLA. I'm a client relationship leader, and what I do is all business development for ClifonLarsonAllen. So specifically, my item that I sell, if you will, is fractional CFO controller work. So if you have someone that needs to run the accounting department for you for short term, long term, you can call me and I can find someone that can help you out.
I'm Avi Smith-Rapaport. I run a company called We Care Computers. We've been in West Hartford for quite a while now. We're an outsourced IT company, so back in the day there was a reactive model for taking care of computers, like you'd wait till you have an issue. We turned that around a number of years ago and created a proactive model with managed service providers, what the phrase is out there, MSP, taking care of companies as their outsourced IT company, so they don't have to deal with anything internally other than what they do at their jobs and companies.
I have your bio here. You've been around since 2004.
That's true.
Long time.
You're like
So
seven.
I'm told.
Yeah.
Yeah.
7 or so when you started the business. Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Brenna?
My name is Brenna Ramsdell. I'm the owner of Ledgerleaf Bookkeeping. It's a virtual bookkeeping firm for creative entrepreneurs and small businesses. I actually am just past my first year being open in business.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, so we're just going to kind of dive into this, and the goal here is for this to be organic. So if I ask somebody a question and one of the other panelists feels like you can add to that, please feel free to. This is very open and organic. But I'm going to start, I'm going to start with Kelly with just a question. How do you evaluate whether a potential client is a right fit for the services that you offer?
So it's a really good question. I think it comes down to if we can supply what they're looking for in a timely manner. So a lot of things that we look at is, does the person need to be on site, right? We have over 400 consultants across the country. So if you're in a situation where you can use someone remote, that's a level that we can talk through. We do obviously have people in Connecticut as well that we could do the fit for. Obviously, cost is a factor. Companies, some are willing to spend more than others, so evaluating what is the budget. I'm a very transparent partner, so out of the gate, I'm like, let's talk about it. Like, what is your budget for this? What are you thinking about before we go further? Because I don't want to waste anyone's time in the process. But other than that, it's really just a matter of a lot of discussions around what their needs are in that particular moment to match up with the talent that I have. And one of the things I am looking for is a talent solution provider for the staff level, because we really are at like the CFO level, controller, like the leader level. And I have client after client after client that really need that lower level, 2-3 years out of college type accountants, that if I had that ability to match up, we could do a lot together, because I can handle the bigger roles and they can help me with the more support ones.
Okay. Can you just explain a little bit what a fractional CFO is versus bringing in a CFO?
Sure, yeah. So a lot of companies are just too small to have a large a large finance department. So a lot of the companies, a lot of the people I talked to today that explained your business model, it wouldn't make sense for you to have a full-blown accounting, a CFO, a controller, and then an accountant, right? That's a 3-person, probably a $500,000 payroll. Doesn't make sense for a lot of smaller companies. So fractional is where you get just a part of a person. So in the case that we're talking about from this particular project model, it would be, hey, you need 10 hours a week. We'll provide 10 hours a week because that's really all you need. Getting into some of the more formal outsourcing, we would give you part of a CFO, part of a controller, part of an accountant, depending on what your needs were. And then you don't have to worry about it. We do all of it for you. So it just becomes, it's less about, it really kind of very different than having like a full-blown CFO. Sometimes that fractional is a good interim solution for you, but sometimes it becomes what you would want long-term because it just makes more sense.
Got it. So Elizabeth, at Inspirity, you offer a lot of services. How do you hone in on the particular services that would be the right for your clients?
Yeah, so it depends on the breadth of what they're looking for. But what happens in today's market is many companies will have they may have an office manager, an HR, or a controller who is currently handling a lot of their payroll and their HR, making sure that the employees are compliant and the regulations are checked. But that's a lot of kind of administrative work, and as companies are growing, that's really not. It's not actually moving the needle for your company. And so what we can do is we partner with you and strategize with you. We know your company. You actually work with a person from Inspirity who is SHRM certified. And what will happen is we'll make sure that, we'll take care of the compliance piece of that, making sure. We'll take care of if you have virtual remote employees, the taxes that are associated with that can be complex. You don't need to know that. We'll take care of that for you. As maybe you need to, you want to kind of work on your performance reviews, or you want to kind of get your employees more engaged. Those are things that we strategize with you. What is it that you're looking for? How can we help you? Our main goal is to help you grow your business. It's not necessarily to keep it here. How can we make you grow your business and stay more successful? So that's what we try and do. And it starts as simple as just, we have something that just does payroll. Most companies today just do payroll. We do have a product that just does payroll, and it's a little bit more of a do-it-yourself type thing. But guess what? Your handbook's on there already. How many small companies don't have a handbook? And it gets expensive to kind of outsource that to a law firm. Those are things that we'll update that on a continually basis. And then we have our full-blown where we actually work with you and strategize with you, meet with you. We'll actually come out and do training programs. So it's kind of, there's a lot that we can cover.
Great, thank you. I'm going to ask Avi the same question.
We are coming across some interesting things out there in the world these days with cyber and AI being so strong. I've seen, so I mentioned before the reactive model versus proactive. I've seen a company as big as 30 that's still using a computer guy, which is the reactive model. Not that there's anything wrong with that, it's just a totally different experience. When we're out there in the field, we work with a lot of professional service firms, so like law firms, CPAs, financial, that kind of stuff. Most of those firms of the 50 and under kind of size, 10 to 50, are aware of companies like our MSP. So it's more of finding out why they're talking to us, like what's not working for them these days. For those other companies, though, it's a lot. I don't know. We do what we can. I mean, there's so much out there in the news, and educate them on best business practices and why you might want to have all your machines with standardized antiviruses. Like one of the most basic steps or things that where companies aren't even doing that. So for us, it's really finding out what's going on for them. For me, what I see, I talk to a lot of business owners that are just so busy with everything going on in their lives, and some of them micromanage things too, and they're unaware of it. So if we can get in and really show them that we can alleviate them, like all these other professionals that are talking about, it's a whole new world once you create the budget for it, and then you won't go back once you work with a solid outsourced provider for sure.
Great. And have you wrap it up with that same question, just as a starting point.
Yeah, I think I definitely look for potential clients who want to be informed. I think there's been a huge change in the last 10 years about the way that small businesses operate, especially in the age of social media. And I find that there's always new things to learn, whether you're working with small businesses or you are a small business. A lot of times I have people reach out who might be selling things on TikTok Shop or receiving PR packages for their social media business. And that's not something that every 75-year-old CPA is familiar with. Even just in terms of deadlines, just helping someone stay informed. And when I'm sending financial reports like a profit and loss to you every month, that you're looking at it and we're making business decisions with it and seeing how your cash flow is. So I definitely am not someone to just give you numbers for tax time, and we're making business decisions with them.
Okay, great. So you've all touched on something that I was going to save for the end, but a little later in the conversation, but you've all touched on it, and it's all related to having those direct conversations with the people. The Chamber's about community and building support and trust. What is unique about going with an outsourcing to a local company versus outsourcing to somebody that is not local, or that you may not have the potential to directly meet or really engage with, and you're just going to be ultimately dealing with chatbots and whoever picks up the phone? I'll actually start with you on that.
I mean, you're not. I could talk about this for the next hour.
Yeah.
But I won't. I won't do that to you. So I came from huge corporations where I had my sections of my accounting outsourced to India. So, and I'll just give you that as an anecdote. They came and they showed me what they could do. It was half the cost of what I could do it for. Sounded great. We're all excited. We met the people who were going to do the work with us. We went out to India. Everything was wonderful. And then about 3 years into the contract, after about 7 turnovers with the team, I started to get very concerned. No one could explain to me my numbers anymore. None of the same people were around anymore. So I share that with you, just an anecdote to kind of speak to what you're saying. Outsource providers that are large and massive, and in countries that are India, Asia, all of those, it's becoming harder for them because they haven't been making the AI investments that they need to be making, and so therefore they've got their rates are getting higher and higher. They're having to compete for talent. So now the ROI of that just doesn't make as much sense. I'll just add to that. I think that the in-person, I think a lot of that got lost during COVID, and people got really super comfortable. Not to offend the virtual bookkeeper, because I feel like you also go and meet with them.
Yes, absolutely.
But I think that personal one-on-one, being able to understand the client, you really lose that with large companies versus smaller ones that are going to sit down with you. And even for my projects, even though I place someone, I don't place the person and then say, see ya, talk to you later. I have a conversation with them every 2 weeks to say, how's it going? What can we do better? Is there any feedback I need to give my person? Like that kind of thing.
Okay, great. So, I know all of you to a certain extent, and know some of your backgrounds. So Elizabeth, I know you're just very visible in the community. You're involved in a lot of organizations. Where do you see the difference in that?
Oh, well, exactly. Just to piggyback on what you said, I'm going to share with you. I was at another company, and we started outsourcing everything from billing and everything. And when you start doing out of the country, it just doesn't seem. I mean, it's really, you lose sight of it. One of the things that when I'm talking to companies today, the biggest thing that I hear from them is they need to get an answer right away. And, not that, and there are some instances, I'm not going to, the chat box can do the job, but you really want somebody who knows your business. Look, I need to know, am I doing this? Is this what I'm doing that is right? And I need somebody, a person who, they don't want to do this 800 number, you know what I mean? And get different answers all the time. They want to be working with somebody, and they also, even though our organization, anyone that you work with is from Inspirity, but I'm here locally, and let's face it, just like working out in different countries, even working in throughout the United States, people work differently. If you go into Texas, they're going to work much differently than we work here in the Northeast and Louisiana and, you know, California. So it's nice to have somebody who knows. I know the businesses. And one of the other things that I know that we all can do this is we may not, our clients or customers will come up to and say, I'm looking for another resource, and we have that. And we've all been able to, give a name and help our, people in the chamber and things like that. And that's huge, because it's like, I don't do that, but I got somebody, and comes with a recommendation. And they like that, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't want to have to worry. They worry all day. That's.
Great. Technology is an easy one to kind of just go online and find somebody, and
Oof.
that may not be the right answer. Why is that? What do you think about that?
I think Kelly mentioned the part about cost difference potential, and we had a recent client that was a nonprofit, and they decided to move to a company that because we handled a lot of their services, so we were going to do a proper handoff, and my staff couldn't find that this human was legit in some other country that I don't even remember what the country was named, but you wouldn't even expect there was IT there, and it was. My staff came to me so scared, like, I can't believe they're doing this, and it was whatever. So there's a lot of bad actors out there, and for me, from the standpoint though of like local, I mean, I think supporting our community, and as long as there are strong businesses who can fully handle what the client needs. I mean, to me, I think local is better for all of our areas, or local-ish, whatever that is. But yeah, when you're trusting people with your books, your HR, like these are in IT. I mean, these are really important things, and I think I believe that people's eyes are getting opened a little bit more. That maybe if it cost 50 cents more, $1 more, like, okay, maybe I'm willing to pay that now. So I have the certainty of all these other businesses that use them and trust them and all these kinds of things.
So you're in a little bit of a different situation, because they all are going to get Brenna, right?
Yeah, you only get Brenna with me. I will say, I think some of my biggest competition is things like AI and ChatGPT, where I think I understand the appeal of it, and when you have a quick question about something, that's a really easy fix and it's free. I don't charge for questions, just throwing it out there. But I think when things go wrong is when someone needs to know you and your business and what your goals are and what's going on, right? And I think honestly 95% of the things that come across my desk are these QuickBooks cleanups, because AI inside of QuickBooks is bad. It recommends bad categories, and if you don't have any accounting knowledge or any bookkeeping knowledge, it's really easy to dig yourself into a $1,000 cleanup job. So easy. From things like, I mentioned 1099s earlier. I recently had a client who got her advice from ChatGPT, and because she was using Venmo, assumed that she wasn't responsible for any 1099s. And I can't tell you how not accurate that is. All of her payments have payments between friends, and those are not being counted towards anything. So I think being able to talk to a person, especially with tech support, is really, really, really beneficial. Very much so.
I'm going to go back to Kelly for this one. What is a common myth or misconception about your industry that you constantly have to battle?
A myth. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Probably that you can cut corners and not pay what you don't get what you pay for, right? We were talking about this earlier.
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up.
I think it's very similar to pick up what Brenna was saying, right? It's like people think, oh, how hard can it be to be an accountant, and how hard can that be? Well, let me tell you, it's actually pretty hard. and I went through that myself, because I became a CPA later in my career, and I was like, how hard can that test be? I'm here to tell you it's very hard, very hard. Every ounce of energy for like 3 years. But yeah, I think that people don't realize how complex things can get very quickly. To Brenna's example is great, and we see that all the time, where people don't. We were talking earlier where I had people come in where, oh, well, we're just going to use Robert Half because they're $100 less an hour than you are. Okay, good luck, and they come back. Like, you know, guess what? Now it's a lot worse because now they had someone in place for 3 months. They didn't know what they were doing. And I'm not dinging Robert Half. They have great resources for great things, but just knowing that what you pay for, there is definitely that what you get what you pay for is a very sound truth. So.
You had a very interesting reaction to this question. So do you want to chime in on this?
Some things I hear are, like the CFO would say, like, well, I just handle the IT. This is CFO of a company who like probably has other things to worry about and might not know what my team knows about. Other things we hear that, well, we're in the cloud, so we're all set.
Yeah.
Or those are some funny ones that I hear. They're funny to me. I don't know if they're funny to other people.
Right. So is this a person that's a fractional CFO part of the time, and then they're a fractional IT person,
Yeah.
but it's the same person?
I just can't even. And I'm not talking about a 2-person company either. I mean,
They're big companies,
yeah, like it's just.
Well, it's interesting. They're all, I think with all of the things that we all do, you know, everybody says, oh, no, I don't need anybody. I do that until there's a problem and it becomes expensive. And it's like, okay.
Right, it becomes an emergency as
Yeah,
opposed
exactly.
to proactively take care of all of your things. So it's just.
Well, Elizabeth, you just
We all
teed up
buy
my next
insurance.
question that's actually going to go to you. So many small businesses worry about cost. I'll start with Elizabeth, but anybody can chime in on this. How do you have that conversation of cost versus value?
Yeah, great. Well, yeah, no, that's a great question. It's, you know, again, kind of walking into, you know, what is your business goals? What do you want to do? And also looking at, you know, you want to retain, you know, one of the things I hear too is, you know, well, I handle all this, but, you know, you're handling things because you have, maybe if you have bad employees, guess who gets all the eyesight? The bad employees. But then guess who? Your good employees over here, and they're like, you know what, I'm leaving. Well, now they're gone and you're stuck. So there's a lot of eyes and it can become very costly. So, you know, we have a conversation of like, these are some things that I can help with. And that, what if I took these off your desk? What is that? And you can actually do a cost analysis for all of us and saying, okay, if we take this off and this off your desk, how much do you think you're worth an hour when you're doing this? What does that look like? What could you be doing instead of this? And, you know, so again, your greatest, you know, investments are, you know, your tech and your employees. And so, you know, if you invest in those, then you'll be successful.
Okay. So you were talking about Venmo, and so it sounds like perhaps that you're dealing with a lot of single sole proprietors. And how do you have this conversation? Like, this is an investment that you probably want to make to get ahead. Not as problem that big, but certainly some other ones that will haunt you for years, probably.
Absolutely. I do have a few clients that we also do payroll for. They have a team, but a lot of the majority of people I speak with are entrepreneurs. And they love the idea of DIY bookkeeping. It's something where, you know, they can outsource elsewhere. They can outsource social media and marketing. And I say, of course it's an investment. Everything that you outsource, everything that comes with running a small business is an investment back into it. And when we talk about your bookkeeping, if you have an accountant where you're just handing them stuff and they file your taxes, how accurate are those numbers? Because that hurts. It hurts your bank account and it hurts your business. The cleanup that I just finished, we probably saved him over $11,000 in taxes. His cleanup did not cost $11,000. So one way or another, you are going to eat the price of that.
Trust the expert.
Yes.
So we touched a little bit on, you know, referring trusted partners. I'll start with you, Avi. What are some other ancillary companies that you do end up working with that are also outsourced professionals?
Insurance, a lot, health and business insurance. Attorneys of all kinds seem to be good resources. Those can be good. Still looking to make some good, solid connections with some CPAs that we can find our groove, but that has been decent in the past. And I mean, other things too, just outside of specific vendors, like centers of influence that are out there. There's a bunch in every town, and I find providing them value has worked really well for me in getting really close to some of them, which has opened up my network incredibly. But yeah, I mean, just for me, the most important thing is if you ever are going to give someone else a vendor's name, that you know their work and you trust them. I got burned by that once. I met one guy at an event, and he happened to work in the QuickBooks world, and one of my clients had a need, and without vetting him, I introduced him, and we lost a client. But I've never done that again, and I have a really trusted network. So definitely refer people, but make sure you trust the people. I don't know if that's part of your question.
Yeah, no,
I need to say it.
that was definitely part of it. So,
Use my terrible experience.
No, and that's a great, not to jump, but that is
ahead.
a great thing that you just said. I think it takes us why we come to a lot of events to get to know people after a while and things like that, because just like you said, Avi, I've done the same thing too when you've referred somebody and you're so disappointing because you're so excited to give, look, I have somebody and I'm excited for you and I'm excited to connect you. And then it goes sideways and it's a reflection on us. And so it's,
So I'll bounce the question to Kelly. So CLA is a large international company. First of all, do you have any autonomy, because you can't be everything to everybody, to refer out? And when you're dealing with a company as large as CLA, how do you manage that process?
Yeah, so one thing I love so I came from Big Four, and one of the things I really love about CLA is that we are really in our community. Like, they don't even like to say, like, we have a corporate office. Like, we are in our community. So we are in West Hartford, we are in Shelton, we are here. It's one of the things that drew me to the company and to the model. Even when if we outsource, we don't outsource to other countries. We're all within the United States. And so I think that kind of gives us an edge over some of our competition. But there are things I can't do. I mean, I started the conversation with, I'm really looking for someone that can help me with this, staff accountant role, right? I staff higher level individuals, but my clients come to me time and time again, and they need accountants, just basic level accountants. And so I can't provide that to them. And I'm never afraid to say that and looking for those partnerships. Similarly, like, I've met with Matt here sitting in the room, and we've shared, here, I have this client and this is my target list, this is yours. I know he can help, I can help them. We've talked about I've talked to Elizabeth. Like, I think just having those networking, and I agree with you completely, Avi, and I will always do a lunch or a meeting to get to know the person before I pass their name along. But I do think I have a lot of autonomy. I'm very much encouraged to my friend Amanda from EY. Like, you go, wait, you compete with EY, right? Well, there's stuff that she does that I can't, and especially when you're an accounting firm, you independence out of a lot of stuff. So if I'm your auditor, I can't do other stuff for you. So I always feel like there's room for all of us to be successful, and so we just kind of work with each other.
So when I was a member of this chamber going back many years ago, I was in the insurance business, and there was, at any given networking event, there would be 5 or 6 of me. And, I kind of went with the philosophy that you get rid of enemies by making friends.
Frenemies.
And you exactly that. If my company, if you owned a pit bull, I couldn't write your home insurance, but I found people that if they did, and then you could refer that pit bull house to that person, and then eventually the not pit bull house comes back to you, and it all balances out at the end. But it is a great way to, even within your own industry, know who's out there that could trust it. As a matter of fact, Avi helped us with our IT person, who is the IT person, because we only have at any given time 2 computers. We don't need a lot of thing, but Avi definitely vetted him, and he's been the same person we've had for many, many years. So it worked out, but he's same industry, but a different angle. Just watching my time here. So Elizabeth, I'm going to bounce back to you, because I know you've got, again, with a lot of the things you do, what does the first 30 to 60 days look like in the path for your clients? So you meet with them, they're on. What does that look like now?
Yeah, so usually what we'll do is I'm kind of, we'll meet first. I like to kind of find out what they're, talk to them a little bit about, get to know them, find out a little bit about their organization. If we find that there's some synergy and some things that they may, that they're interested in, then we take it to the next level, and I'll meet with them again. I gotta gather some information and documents from them so that I can kind of understand, what they're looking at. One of the things that we do for our customers as well, and clients, is that we actually offer healthcare, and we do this by we work directly with the provider, and so that can save them some money. And so I have to collect a lot of information, and sometimes, just so you know, kind of stepping back with the other one, I actually work with Kim at One Digital, because sometimes the insurance doesn't work out for us. So I collect some paperwork, and then what we do is we go into implementation. And what we do is our whole team works with them and kind of gets them on board, and we go out there. And one of the things that I do too, after they do become a customer, I kind of stay involved. At least I go out there at least once or twice a year for a luncheon, make sure everything is still on point, make sure that that they are meeting regularly with their client liaison, and they're accomplishing what that they want to do. So that's kind of, it probably takes from point of meeting to kind of the full implementation, probably 90 days, I would say. Realistically, get everybody on board and put things together, make it work. Because we're asking them pretty much to kind of change the way they're doing business right now. So that takes a little bit.
So let's switch over to our entrepreneurial panelists here.
Mm-hmm.
Do either of you outsource anything? And if so, what? Go ahead. You're smiling.
Me first?
Yeah.
I do. I outsource my social media and marketing. And I'm looking to outsource someone to help on my team. It's a very slow process. I'm not exactly sure what they're going to be doing yet, but I do.
Okay.
For us, bookkeeping, CPAing, financial support, business coaching, business consultant, marketing.
So pretty much everything you don't do.
Yeah.
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 Which is, you don't sign up
But
to do anything but your job.
That's what the magic, right? Because this is what you can do and
Yeah.
you do well. So why not use?
Yeah, it's so hard for me. It's a mindset thing. It's so hard for me to watch people. And sometimes some good friends who during tax time, they lose their minds, but it's a minimal cost that you run the
I know,
successful
I
business.
know.
And he doesn't.
Well, I
I
kind
want
of
to not be that. I'm trying to learn breathe. Don't be like that. Try to be smarter.
I kind of equate that to, I always say, well, yes, I could probably change the oil in my car, but why would I do that with the hours? Yeah. Well, look I saved 50 cents, but it took me 3 days. Right? It's like, you know what I mean? When you gotta really kind of think this through. And I think that's one of the things that we all are, when we're talking to potential customers and clients, we need to, find out for them what their real goals are. Because they need to find our services a benefit. They need to kind of take everything they can from that. And so it's kind of interesting.
Okay.
Time is money, money is time.
So I'm going to put this last question out there, and I'm not going to direct it at anybody, and if you want to chime in, please do. Have any of you ever had to fire a customer? And if so, why? You don't have to tell us who. This is being recorded, so.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, I did. In my first year of business, I had to fire one of my clients because I had, usually in my contract, it's about a 60-day waiting period if I don't hear back from you that I can disengage. Gave her about 90 days. We were 4 months behind on our bookkeeping, and it was just last week. And with everybody's in year-end 1099s, we're all wrapping up the year, ready for that April deadline, which really, it's not April 15th, it's before that. There was no way that without a sort of rush fee that I knew that she wouldn't be able to afford, that we were going to make it in time for that. So I had to disengage with her.
Disengage.
I know, I like that word.
That's a much nicer phrase than fire.
Yeah.
Isn't nice.
We're gonna have
Avi, have you ever had to disengage with somebody?
Well, I started the business a long time ago, and when we started, I used to do computer work too, which was fun. Not that much fun. That's why I stopped doing it. I like people more. But so back then we handled residential clients, and it was sad. A long time ago, we had to disengage or break up,
You
and
like that?
it was such a lovely thing because of like the feedback and we didn't have as many contacts now as that was doing that work. But that was kind of sad, but really nice because of how much people appreciated us. But for the business side of things, it was rare, and we've had some customers that I personally have had to have a conversation with, like about how they speak to staff and whatnot. But there was just one that was just not appropriate and wouldn't listen. Most people are just frustrated what's going on,
Right.
and they take it out whoever they're listening on. It has nothing to do with you or your services. But we've had at least one that is in the back of my head that we had to disengage services with. That's a
Yeah.
great term.
Yeah.
It is a good
I like
term.
that.
I'm glad to be of service. with
Yes,
that.
you should copyright
Quite
that.
nice.
Yeah, I love it.
And from like all we're talking about here, from mindset wise, you're like, well, but this customer is paying us this much a month. But is that worth any aggravation for your staff?
And
Everyone is going to.
I'm trying to leave spots in my calendar open for them, and
100%.
it's wasting my time. And you
No
don't have
shows.
to say that. You can say disengage.
Disengage is good.
But yeah, I think there's a respect too of like, if especially in workforces like me where I need information from you, right? I can't do things without certain information. I'm also like the kind of person that's not going to send you a bill for that either if I don't hear from you, right? So, and like I know a couple of them are freaking out, like, Brenna, you actually should be sending the bill anyways. But yeah, I think it's just sometimes better to let it go because there are always going to be new opportunities that come through the door, and now you have the time and space for those.
So I'm going to put this last one out, and it's kind of a twofold question because we are running out of time. Is there anything that I didn't ask that one of you expected me to ask that you'd like to talk about? And then second, is there anything, last word, that you'd want to say? Anything you want to just part with, whether it was a question or just something else you wanted to convey to the audience and the people who watch the video?
I thought you did a good job with the questions. I thought it was very well-rounded. I can't really think of anything that I was surprised you didn't ask. I definitely have questions that I was surprised you asked. But I think just leaving you with, if you need our services in any, please reach out. I actually have some cookies in the back. That's not going to help you on the video, but there are some cookies in the back. I kind of am testing out this marketing campaign about breaking the glass because usually you don't need my services unless you're in a kind of an emergency situation where someone left or you have an audit finding or someone's sick or whatever. So, but I would love to be a service, and I'm really excited to be here and involved now and kind of meeting all of you. So thank you for having me.
Okay. If nobody else has that, why don't we just go through and just tell us how people can get in touch with you if they did have any questions?
Yeah, absolutely. I usually prefer email. That's typically best. I'm a mom of 2 under 5. Sometimes phone calls are a little noisy, so I'd say email is definitely best. Obviously, if you're local, I'd be more than happy to meet for coffee. And then, of course, when you're a smaller business that doesn't need an in-house bookkeeper, virtual is sometimes really good on Zoom. So.
For us, wecarecomputers.com is our website and has all of our ways. You can email us or text us or fill out an online form. We'd love to chat. And don't be afraid to reach out to all these vendors either. There are no stupid questions. You know what you do, and we know what we do. And when you find a vendor who's willing to listen or work with you, take advantage of that.
Yeah, so I have magnets in the back with my contact information on them, but CLAconnect.com, that's CLA's website. You can find us, our office in West Hartford. And I'm like you, Brenna, I'm happy. Our offices are at 29 South Main, so we're right in the center, and happy to buy a cup of coffee, buy you lunch, whatever the case may be, to get to know all of you. So.
Yeah, so you're 29 4th floor, and Elizabeth is 29
Yeah, we're
3rd
on the
floor?
same-
I'm on the
building.
second.
Second floor.
Yeah,
Okay,
you
so
did
you're
our
two
opening for
floors
us.
down,
Yeah. Well, I work for the Inspirity, and I love talking anything human resources. Look, not everybody is a match for me, but that doesn't mean that we can't have a conversation. I love having lunch and talking about, business. It's wonderful. I can be reached on my cell phone, which is 617-548-1533, and I have cards. So, definitely connect with me if you have any questions at all. Thanks.
In full disclosure, the chamber does some outsourcing. CLA does our bookkeeping and our tax prep and all of our financials. So we're happy customers as well.
Yes, great. Good to hear.
All right, I think with that, was there any questions? Yeah.
What's an average size company that you're hoping to work with? Anybody?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, I typically I'll work with people from, especially if they're growing from, 10 employees up to like 300. And, 20 to 100 is really a sweet spot for us. That's where we can really make a difference sometimes and kind of jumpstart them, companies.
So we have a huge non-for-profit. I would say our big not-for-profit and state and local government are pretty large customers for us. My world is mostly people that have small accounting departments between 5 and 10 people. Is sort of where my market is. But CLA as a whole, we do not do anything with publicly traded companies. Everything's private, and then within that is our not-for-profit and state and local government practice.
We typically work with companies 10 to 50 or so employees. That can shift up or down depending on the needs of the client.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely your gal when you're not looking for an in-house bookkeeper that you're paying a salary of like 40 hours a week. So I'd say anybody with under 20 employees is a good fit.
Anybody else have a question? All right, that's a wrap.
All right, thank you.
Thank
you,
you.
everybody. Thank you.
I'm not sure how to Zoom everyone. I just saw the video.
You want to just do testimonies?